Hello there. Welcome to From the Mic Stand. I'm Mark Rawlins, otherwise known as Mark the Poet, and it's very nice to be asked back to do this. I'm going to do some live poetry for you this evening. The first one is the story of the last 12 years, as it would have been told in the Bible. It's called From Genesis to Revelation. In the beginning, there was privilege, and privilege begat greed. So greed begat austerity, and they created need. Then greed begat inheritance, and inheritance begat power. Then power begat arrogance, who sold his soul, cometh the hour. Then arrogance begat ignorance, and ignorance begat hate, who then begat intolerance to recognize his fate. Intolerance begat incompetence, who led a merry dance. Incompetence begat impotence, and buffoonery seized the chance. Buffoonery begat populist, and many more beside. Populist begat dishonest. Dishonest, he told lies. Dishonesty begat division. Division begat contempt. Contempt begat derision, and no one was exempt. This all begat high prices. High prices begat a fuss. The fuss begat a crisis, and the crisis begat trust. And trust begat trickle down. But as so many times before, trickle down, it begat poverty, with hunger at the door. But not for poverty nor hunger did the power beget a toss. No, they begat fear and anger at their looming ballot loss. So again they turned to privilege, disguised as sympathetic. And privilege begets austerity, and we beget pathetic. For they were all created in the image of Thatcher, with evil thrown in the mix. And with each opportunity, they all try to match her, for her number is 666. Thank you. I wrote this poem today. It's about those annoying tunes that you have in your head and you go around singing them. I believe they're called earworms. I had one in my head today. I was walking on sunshine, up all night to get some. I had a real good fun time. Dabba-dee, dabba-dum. I reached up for the stars, pushed pineapples, shook some trees. I was driving in my cars with some oobla-dahs and dees. I was all about the bass. I was oops outside my head. They could read my poker face, 'cause I'm too sexy, right? Said Fred. I said I like big butts and asked who let the dogs out. A Pizza Hut's the one that makes me want to shout. You may think it's oh so wrong, and I think you're gonna curse, 'cause I bet I have a song that's gonna get right on your nerves. I know a song that'll get on your nerves, get on your nerves, get on your nerves. I know a song that'll get... Thank you. This is a poem about an old lady that my wife and I met a few weeks ago when we had occasion to visit an old people's home in Warrington. Her name was Hazel and she likes to dance. Hazel. Once she skipped the light fandango with a young Americano. A quick step first and then a tango at the Warrington Locarno. In dirndl skirt and bobby sock, her jukebox jury was never out. She rocked and rocked around the clock. She'd shake it and then twist and shout. And later, with her feet all bare, tuned in, turned on, and out she dropped. She danced with flowers in her hair, with every coloured pill she popped. Now, from her institutional bed, as rain falls down on Warrington, she hears the beat inside her head and dances in the setting sun. Thank you. We're going to stay in Warrington now, because this is a vision of hell in a Swedish furniture shop. For those of you that know your poetry, it's a sonnet. But for those of you that don't care, it's just a poem about being in IKEA. Around and round the cursed trudge round the aisles of hell, damnation, and despair. Through endless cupboards, kitchen tops and tiles, soft furnishings, sofa and easy chair. I pray, too late to wake up from this dream and jostle for that meatball of respite. But devil's spawn lets out a piercing scream whilst clutching poor stuffed bat with all its might. No stopping, keep on moving, just one way, towards the final torture far beneath, where flat-pack demon Sven awaits his prey and draws me to my everlasting grief. Hell's not just other people, that's for sure, for I can find no way out of this store. Thank you. The next one's a poem, a very, very short poem that I wrote after a visit to Liverpool, where there are lots of statues by St George's Hall of very rich, very successful white men from the past. And, well, I think the poem explains itself. Admiral Sir Henry Bastard, who was feared by those he led and revered by those he mastered. And he has a seagull on his head. Thank you. This one I wrote for an event that took place during Macclesfield Pride, and there was a sort of poetry evening at the Silk Museum. And I wrote this one because it's a poem. Well, I guess it speaks for itself. It's about solidarity. If anyone's seen the film Pride, there's a bit in it where the miners have a banner, and on the banner are two hands clasping each other in solidarity. And the miners say that, you know, if you support us now, then we're there for you when the time comes that you need us. So this is a poem about solidarity, and this is it. Your oppression's my oppression. Your fight is my fight. Hand in hand against aggression, we can stand up for what's right. When you're spat on, when you're shat on for being who you want to be, I'll be there to take the baton, 'cause you do the same for me. We march with pride on your parade, and in solidarity stand side by side behind the barricade that will set our people free. When they fire us and rehire us, put us down and cheat us, your struggle will inspire us, and they never will defeat us. 'Cause my oppression's your oppression, my fight is your fight. Hand in hand against aggression, we can stand up and unite. Thank you. I don't know what this one's about. It's called Strictly Done Dancing. I am done with weed. I am done with speed. I am done with mind enhancing. I am done with greed in my hour of need. But I am not yet done dancing. Done with dirty tricks. Done with politics. I am done with moral stancing. I am done with kicks on Route 66, but I am not yet done dancing. I am done with sex and with X-ray specs. I am done with gay romancing. I am done with vexing with rednecks, but I am not yet done dancing. I am done brouhaha and all that hoo-ha. I am done with necromancing. I am done chutzpah in a nice fruit spa, but I am not yet done dancing. I'm done cakes and beer, I am done career, I am done with self-advancing. I am done with fear, I am done this year, but I am not yet done dancing. Thank you. This is a poem that I wrote after a visit to a city not a million miles away from here, a little bit further north. So apologies to anyone who's watching from that city. It's a nice place, really. This is called Corrugated City. The moans and groans of mobile phones tell tales of woe and pity, as kids on wheels run errand deals through Corrugated City. The rancid rain fills rancid drains. It doesn't smell so pretty, as poor hearts wrench through sewage stench of Corrugated City. It's crumbling down, dirty old town that's wailed through drunken ditty. Romance has died, the old man sighed, in Corrugated City. These streets of shit, bile and vomit are paved without self-pity. The metro dreams not what it seems in Corrugated City. Through prison skies, a vision dies, hard knocks and northern gritty. The Union Jack is selling crack in Corrugated City. Thank you. So, it's very hard, those of you that are watching, it's very hard to write poems. And I have a lot of respect for anyone who gives it a go, really, because I know how difficult it is. And what's particularly difficult when you're writing poems is to avoid cliches. So this is a poem that I wrote where I didn't bother trying to avoid cliches. It's got as many as I can possibly think of. In fact, the poem itself is a cliche. It's called Where I Get My Ideas From. With all due respect, and at the end of the day, I mean this in the nicest possible way. It is what it is. And what will be, will be. It's phenomenal. It's awesome. Literally. In a blue sky moment, outside of the box, you can brush yourself down. You can pull up your socks. You can knock me with a feather. You can go the extra mile. You can go all hell for leather. You can do it all big style. It's a surefire no-brainer. So take it on the chin. It's a half full container. It's a win-win. So say carpe diem and say live and let live. You can't please all the people, so love the one you're with. The grass is always greener if a book's judged by its cover. There's many ways to skin a cat and more to leave your lover. So bring it to the table as you take one for the team. In a game of two halves, you can always live the dream. Thank you. This one is probably needs a bit of explanation. These days, I don't know if people have noticed, but these days there's a bit of a fashion or a bit of a trend for naming your children random words. Not names, just random words. And my wife used to spend a lot of time going into different primary schools around Stockport area. And one time she was in a classroom and a little boy came up to her and went, "There's chaos in the book corner." And she turned round and there was a little girl waving at her. And so that inspired this poem. It's called 21st Century Kids. There's chaos in the book corner. There's mayhem in the kitchen. Because Prudence didn't warn her that self-righteousness was snitching. Sobriety's in the corridor. Patience is being tested. Tedium is such a bore. Siesta's feeling rested. Persecution's such a bully. Catty is really bitchy. Clarity is far from woolly. Chlamydia is itchy. Serenity's in her quiet place, while mischief's in the hall. Humility is in disgrace, but anarchy rules the school. Thank you. So, a few weeks ago, when there was a lot of strikes going on, one of the tabloids, I can't remember which one, Sun or something, had the big headline that this week Britain went back to the 1970s. And so it inspired this poem. Apologies for anyone who doesn't get all the references in this, but it shows that you're just too young, basically. So it's called Get Back to the 1970s. From It's a Knockout to Celebrity Squares, let's all put on our denim flares and sit back in our rattan chairs and relive the 1970s. Before we'd even heard of Maggie T, when the pubs threw us out at 10:30, there were just 3 channels on our TV, so we had to exchange pleasantries. When we bumped and stomped in our platform shoes as flower power became yesterday's news. When our local shops sold penny chews and the playground clapped with clackers. When we dialed a disc and watched Top of the Pops in our Oxford bags and our striped tank tops, as seen on American TV Cops, and our parents called us crackers. When DJs span on vinyl decks to the strains of Slade and old T-Rex. When we queued to cash our gyro checks to buy a pint for 20p. When we stopped to watch the half-time scores peering through radio rental doors. When we were scared shitless by Jaws. at the local ABC. When the telephone stayed in the hall, when Georgie Best was on the ball, but still United won fuck all and City were non-entities. When the trains were owned by you and me, when Britain joined the EEC, when university was free. Let's go back to the 1970s. Thank you. And I think I'll make this my last one. So this is the problem with writing sort of topical poetry or political poetry, which I tend to do, is that it becomes untopical quite quickly. And obviously with the way things have gone in the last few weeks and months, a lot of poems that I've written that were very topical at the time are now no longer very relevant. This is kind of one of them, but I think it still has some relevance because it's about how those people who make decisions are really out of touch and have sort of quite a lot of contempt for the rest of us. So it was written, if you can cast your mind back this far, just after the Sue Gray report came out into the parties in Downing Street, and it's called Us and Them. We are the scrubbers and we are the sweepers. We're the security guards and gatekeepers. We're the derided and we're the divided, following rules that our masters decided. They are the movers, they are the shakers, they make the rules, and yet they're the rule breakers. They are the vomiters, they are the drinkers, they are the profiters, the nudge nudge wink winkers. We are the curers, the carers, lifesavers. They're the procurers, the ranters, the ravers. We follow their orders, but they don't reward us, because they are the hoarders, the vacuous applauders. Mocked at and scoffed at the parties they quaffed at, while our children were starving for bread. Divided, derided by the rules they decided, and unable to bury our dead. We are the scrubbers and we are the sweepers. We're the security guards and gatekeepers. They are the movers. They are the shakers. They make the rules, and yet they're the rule breakers. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening.